are at the Archangel Michael's life. We will obviously be experiencing that type of thing, but I hope not as much as we used to. I will be amongst you soon. I don't have much content today, so we'll see how we go. Slaying crows is a hard business. Oh, used up all my arrows again. Once again, arrows are pretty tricky. You've got to wait till the throw get the right way, and then you fire, and they turn around all the time. Poof, straight in the head. But that's on the spiritual realm. We in the physical, and I don't kill in the physical. Although I do have a very blunt imitation sword of Frodo's sting. It's just an ornament. It's just an ornament. Nothing special. Well, no one is here now. Probably too early in the morning. Well, I had a like. How could I have a like without someone watching? That's pretty unique. But then again, it could be after refresh. Hello. And how are you? Welcome to the Archangel Michael's live. We don't have much content today. Only a little bit. I've been very tired. It's been a very long weekend. I hope you've had a good weekend wherever you are. Well, what do? We do have the Lord's Prayer. We can get into that. We sure can. I'm a bit conflicted about some of the things that's going on. Like with Gordon, I have to make an apology to her, and we have to talk and sort something out. My hope there is that I can get her and Michael to apologize to each other and be done with it. That would cause quite a stir in the other troll camps. Very much. I like to stir up them. It's fun. Especially when you know that you're being right and you're being true. You better not make that speaker full. So, how many cages can we rattle today? I do have. Now, that is going to be a pain. A very big pain. Indeed. I hope you can hear me loud enough. I go and listen sometimes. And it doesn't seem loud enough. Unless you turn it right up or put the speakers in your ears. So I hope you can hear me well enough. Well, hello PKAs, how are you going? I do have a couple of dominoes on Jaguar. I'm not going to pull them all out. No, I don't go following her around like a troll. I don't follow her around like a troll at all. But we might get to later. There's nothing really important. Other than that, well, I'm sure you would know. You know, Odell, he wants to go do horses and maybe goats. And Jaguar, she's found a bit more peace with God, which is good. So that's 2 good receipts right there. I hope the trolls can make a whole week's worth of content out of that. I'm sure they can. Some sort of sick device, some sort of sick type of thing. Well, what shall we do? I haven't really, like I said, got much planned. Maybe a little bit of talking about Jesus, I guess. What shall we do here? What do we got here? I hope we don't have any trolls. We don't need them. Well, get the book of Wolverine out. Wolverine. Now Wolverine is trained made by the government to hunt down everything that the government wanted. So anyone that wants to mess me around, I put them in that book and the government hunts them. That's the book of Wolverine. Now we have the Lord's Prayer. Well, how about that? How deep can we go in? Ooh, it's pretty deep. The Lord's Prayer is pretty deep, especially if you say it the right way. The right way is the best way. Are we ready? Well, let us begin. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but to deliver us from evil. Hail Mary, full of grace. Amen. Well, we've got the main part of the content done. Well, we can all relax now and take it easy, really. That's it. We've got God in charge. Turn the ignition on and away we go. Put it back in here, otherwise I lose it. Look like a fool. Put this back away. Believe it or not, this comes from Russia. Oh, you hear me? Good. This comes all the way from Russia, but it's not Russian. It's the USSR, before Russia split up, before the come down of the wall in Germany, before communism fell. So it's quite rare. From a country that does not exist anymore. But you get that. As time goes on, change happens. And it's those that are most susceptible to change are the ones that survive, not so much the strongest or the smartest. Well, if you're smart enough, you'll learn how to adapt. Otherwise, you just will not survive. That's the main key. Well, what do we got? You're trying to find out whether this guy is who he says he is. Well, you never know. I am telling you I am. I am doing the one that I am the only one that you're ever going to get. So, you better get used to it, I guess. I know I'm not much, but I will do the job. I will do the job that I'm sent here to do. Everyone can do this. Well, what have I learned about Jesus? Well, we know that his name is not really Jesus. That's the name given at the translation. His name is Joshua. Joshua is Nazarene, because he was from Nazareth. Yes, I found out a little bit about him. It's really interesting. Jesus was circumcised at 8 days after he was born. So they don't tell you that much, do they? It just goes to show you. That's a good receipt you never heard before. I mean, it's not much, but it's more than what you've been told. Circumcised at 8 days years old. And he was also, as you know, baptized by John the Baptist as a young man. And when he went down, John the Baptist, as you may have seen the movies or read the book, he was anointing the people, blessing them into the new Lord, into the new way, getting them ready for the next one that is coming. And he was talking about this next one coming, and of course he come down the road as a young man. And when John the Baptist had him there, looked at him, he said, "How can I anoint someone that is already free from sin?" And of course the young Jesus smiled at him, and he did it anyway, to bring him into the the house of his own father, God. It is very important that that happened. And then poor John the Baptist, what happened to him? He gets locked up because of the silly whimperings of a woman, a young girl. She wanted his head on a platter. And that is what happened to poor John the Baptist. A man that never hurt nobody and just wanted to bring peace to the world. Yet, because of someone's innate type of feelings, and wanted a certain thing, like we all want things. That's a lesson, not so much just a thing that happened. It's supposed to be a lesson. If you're rich and spoiled, you should not be asking for all these things, stupid, silly things, like the head of a religious man that never hurt nobody on a silver platter. That's pretty much what we ask for. We ask God for this type of thing all the time. Really, we don't ask for the actual head on the platter, but what we're asking is very similar. So there is a certain way to pray to God and a certain way not to pray to God. Like I keep on saying, pray to Him to give you the strength to go through any storm. But try to refrain from asking Him to move the whole storm, because He will not do that. No matter how much you might want Him to, or how much He wants to, He's got rules. He has to follow them. Otherwise, His Son wins. That's the game. You've got to realize God is powerful, but He also has to follow some rules. That's just it. Otherwise, the devil wins. Otherwise, the devil would continuously attack, and there would be no rules or game or anything, and the earth would be a calamity, which is slowly getting to be. No, there's rules to the game, and man has the opportunity to choose these rules and choose these parts that we move in this game. That is it. If enough of us believe in God, God has enough pieces on the board, we can move correctly, and God will always win. But that's what Satan is doing, running around trying to get pieces. It's all about the souls, people. The souls, and saving your soul. Well, baptized by John the Baptist as a young man. And after 40 days and 40 nights, when he went out to figure out why he had to be this great man and what he was going to do, also tempted by the devil, by Satan, but he was strong. So after that 40 days, Jesus came out and began his own ministry and started the search for good people to help him. And that's where it came along, and he found the 12 disciples. A few here, one there, everywhere around till he found them. And this is all in history. This is all through Wikipedia. So this is not nothing I'm making up. This is considered fact. And even by the Jewish and the Hebrews and the Islamic, they all agree Jesus was a real man and was a prophet and was the Son. They all believe that now. So something is up, because they didn't before. That I found strange. And that is found on Wikipedia. So he was a teacher of the law of God. And he was often referred to as a rabbi. So when you hear these movies and everything, well, at the time we would have been walking around, they would say, Rabbi, Rabbi, not Jesus, Jesus, or Joshua, Joshua, which Joshua translated is Joshua, not Jesus. I do have the information. I have to write that down. It's quite interesting. It ends up like a pyramid, how they got the information. So that's scary. I wonder what that Catholic Church has been really up to. Yes, so he was a teacher of God, and he often referred to as a rabbi. And he used to debate with his fellow Jews and his fellow people on how the best way to follow God. So when you see the movies So when you read the book, do not think that Jesus came in the land and just started preaching and expecting everyone to listen. No, he sat down and listened as well, and he had great discussions that they do not talk about in the book for many hours, many days, sometimes weeks. They have discussions before they'll be allowed to go into the town. The town people would say, "We've heard you talking this way. We need to understand." So the elders would have him out in the camp, and they'd have to discuss many days before he would go on to perform these miracles. There's a whole story you're missing out on. You're only concentrating on the little bits. You've got to concentrate on the rest of it the way through, or you'll miss it. You miss the whole story. So, that's the thing. He debated with them, not just argued, not just said this is the way God tells you to do it. And if you don't do it, you're going to get killed by going to hell. No, that's how the church would have you believe. That's what Hollywood would have you believe. He sat down like a gentleman, like I am with you now, and trying to discuss things and work things out through intelligence. They were all men of God. You have to remember, Jerusalem and Judea is the Holy Land. Many religions go through there, just like India. Yes, many religions go through there, and India. Well, the name of the person, the man, the Roman, who eventually, after his own people, the Jewish people, convicted Jesus, Pontius Pilate, the prefect of Judea. He was the one that decided to write the man Jesus off to be executed. So people don't talk about him. And he really didn't want to do that. At first he thought, I don't find any fault in this man. Let the people discuss what they have to do with him. And the people didn't want to do it either because they were really scared that this was the Son of God. And they didn't want to be responsible. So no one wanted to be responsible. So this washing your hands, that was the first time. He went to the people, the Jewish people. The Jewish people made a decision, well, it wasn't going to be Barabbas. He was a freedom fighter, so we released Barabbas. And we brought Jesus to go. And Jesus went back up to the palace, so he had to re-unwash his hands, and he had to execute him. So it wasn't exactly the Jewish people that killed him. See, people wanted to wash their hands of that. People got to look at the story properly. It wasn't the Jewish people. They were responsible for ousting him, for choosing him instead of Barabbas. But it was the Roman Empire which executed him under Pontius Pilate, the prefect of Judea. So people need to learn to pull back the hate a bit, because that Roman Empire doesn't exist anymore. So what have we got to hate? Now, here's the interesting thing. The first Christian community that there was by a name bloke called Peter and there's James, one of the brothers of Jesus. Yes, one of the brothers of Jesus. There was also John the Apostle. He was the one that was obviously in charge. Jesus had 4 brothers. Did you know this? This is in Wikipedia. This is considered as fact. This is nothing I am making up. This is considered fact. You are welcome to go into Wikipedia and look at Jesus yourself. Read the whole story. There's lots more I could have put. I've only just got to this little bit. I just found it quite interesting, because that means there is a line. There's a bloodline that must exist. I wonder who that is. I always thought it was Leonardo da Vinci's bloodline. And I always thought that picture that he painted of the Mona Lisa was one of the descendants of Jesus. I find it very funny that if you go asking for such things in Venezuela, or Venice, I should say, not Venezuela, in Venice, they tend to be a bit funny and not to tell you or shun you. And almost like you're going to get hurt if you ask any more questions. So, that's the same as Ned Kelly over here with the bushranger. Very strange. But the names of Jesus' brothers was James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon. They are four Jesus' brothers. They are not the sons of God. They are sons of Joseph, Jesus' stepfather, the husband of Mary. Of course, he's not going to get married to a woman just because she had a baby to a god. And he's going to be his wife. He's not going to not touch her. You know what I mean? So, that's evidence. Wikipedia says that James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon are Jesus' brothers. Doesn't say much about them or where they went in the world, but it does say that they existed. And this is accepted by the churches, by the Catholic churches, or the Christian churches, accepted by the Israelis, then the Jews, accepted by the Muslims. As all fact. These are stories you've never been told. He's always concentrating on the Jesus, concentrating on this. This is 4 lines that Jesus can come back through. This is called the protection of life, of Jesus' bloodline. So, that is interesting. I found that very interesting. I have to do more research into that. I'm sure they must know. They must know where these people went. And if they do, they've probably hidden it away to try and find that line themselves. See, evil, it likes to hide the information right in front of you. And I don't really trust Wikipedia. There's a story behind that, why I don't. I'll tell you. Julian Assange. He was the first one to start that really off, the Wikipedia. Look what happened to him when he released that bit of information of those people being shot. All that trouble. It's only just finished now. He's only just come back home to Australia now after all that trouble. But, of course, because Wikipedia was independence, and they still claim, it's independent. No, it's not. Don't be ridiculous. The government runs that. It's whatever it wants through that. That's the government part, that one. The information is good. The information we have to take as real, because that's what it is. But it's still run by the government. So they're not putting all the information in still. Just remember that Wikipedia is not 100%. Probably about 70% really. 30% is being held back, maybe more. Maybe a lot more. But I don't trust them. I'm sorry, I don't trust a lot of people. Not the way I see things. I've got kids, I've got to be protective of them. And don't worry, none of this I shine over to my children. No, they know what I am. They have a bit of a laugh. Like my daughter, she wanted to get on her part and cut me a little set of wings, tape it to my back. Would have really been funny. Well, I got through that bit of content about Jesus. That was pretty quick. I wasn't going to be on long tonight. I was thinking maybe half an hour or an hour at best. But that's it. So what are you doing, Maxwell? Oh, kitty cat. Well, I guess we skipped right through all that shit very quickly. Very interesting. I was watching the Black Owl for a few minutes. She's going sillier and sillier, that one. I don't even know what she's on about now. She's just picking at everyone, anything it can get a hold of. And they still talk about Gordon. Well, that's something that I have to touch up. He's actually called Messiah by his followers. Oh, no, not really. They called him friend, they called him brother, they called him rabbi, but there's no word for Messiah. That Messiah didn't come till later. too much years later that he got turned into a Messiah. Back then he was just a preacher, a prophet, a rabbi. They didn't see him as the Messiah, not until they strung him up. Then they realized what they had done. Maybe then they might have called him Messiah after that. But before that, no. He refused. He was not going to go through the land and say, call me the Messiah. That making himself an image. No, that's not how Jesus operated. And he would not have had them coming up to him like that, singling him out. That's why the whole thing at the end, him being singled out. Because they used to all dress the same. Used to get around the same, incognito. Because they knew what he was doing. Eventually, they would hunt him down. So, they didn't go out, saying that's like being a bunch of troops going across the battlefield. And they're all saluting to one guy. So you're saying up that one guy, oof, go on. That's it. That group don't know where to go then. So it took them all those years to oust Jesus, which one was the one that was calling all this stuff. Some of them knew. But because they used to all speak the same thing, it was hard to find out which one was the Jesus. That's why he had to be outed in the end to really pick the one that was the Jesus. And they strung that one up. So they did not call him Messiah. Not at that time. That is wrong. Learn your history. Just they might say it in the book. Of course they're going to say it in the book. The book's all about him being the Messiah. That's how they're going to refer him all the way through, even as the baby. But even at that time, the people at that time, they wouldn't have called him the Messiah. He would have been a special baby, a son of God. Messiahism, eh? That's something that you suffer when you go to Jerusalem, apparently. You rock up there, you start seeing all this religious stuff. You start thinking, gee, I know it all now. Oh, I'm the Messiah. What a lot of shit. There's only one Messiah. That's his Father, God. Jesus is Jesus. He is the Son, the one that sacrificed himself so the rest of humanity can go to heaven. Because then it was only the Jews that were going. That's a fact. That's the whole reason why he did that. To open up the doorway for the rest of humanity. And a new way of believing in God. That is why he sat down and debated with all those other God men. In the best way that God should be talked about. How God should be talked about and which way we should follow God. And him being the Son, he knew better than them. He didn't like it. So, that's history. You've got to look out of the context of the book. There's a lot more that went on than just the book. Is that all they said? Is that all they did? Did they just move to that place? Did they just do that one thing? There's many years that they were alive. Many things that they could have done that's not in that book. You've got to remember, just because it's all holly and thou and in the movies, I'm Jesus and oh you sit down and oh so oh God and oh Jesus and no. No. He never acted like that, you fool. Wake up to yourself. He was a real man, acted like a real person, not like some godly saint. That's why people need to get it right. Hollywood has got your brain twisted and mutated. You know? It does. Makes you think all these things, and the way they talk in the church, they don't know. They're not going to talk to you like he was just an average person that had an idea. That he happened to be the Son of God, and the idea that was he had that was from his Father up in heaven. And he was just an average bloke that just went around, had power to do a few miracles, tried to convince a few people. They make something big out of something that was very easy. But if you You want the fanfare, you want the Hollywood, you want the wings, you want to come down and grant you the wish. And you're praying that the storm is to be moved. And that is the way you have been taught about God, that God would come along and remove the storm for you all the time. Wrong, wrong, wrong. You must ask God to give you the power to go through the storm. None of you are going through the storm. You're all waiting for it to be moved. And I can categorize you all like this, as you all are. You have not prayed to God the right way. You do not know the right way of Jesus. Jesus was an average man. He had to do a great thing. He was a great son of a great Lord, the God of gods. People think he was just like, oh, he speak like this, so regal. He was a carpenter's boy. You know, he would have had a rudimentary education. He was smart because he had the power of God. The blood of God ran through his veins. And in that was the knowledge. Jesus was an average boy. He had 4 brothers. Probably used to play rock fights and everything. They always picked him out as a big desert, no? Yes, he was free from sin. He probably never hurt no one. He probably was a good boy. Probably was a very good boy, very quiet. Probably knew that he had a great task, like myself, at the age of 5. At the age of 5, he had such a task. Terrible. So I can understand his point completely. I often go out to the desert sometimes, not so much for 40 days. Sometimes. One time I did, by myself. Pretty lonely out there. You don't get to see Jesus. You don't get to see the devil, but you do contemplate a lot in your mind. You do have 2 different voices talking, one that's good, one that's bad. Maybe one is sitting on the fence. Gee, like I got a troll in my mind. Sitting on the fence, eh? That's funny. Yes, but Jesus was an average man. He had a great task that we anointed upon him, that he had to do, and he was born into it. And he had to deal with it the best way a man could. See, Jesus, that's it, was also a man, susceptible to the ways of man, and acted like a man, just because they had him all regal sounding in the movies and this and that. Yes, his voice would have been stronger than the rest because his voice was sounding truth, sounded reason. What he was saying sounded the right way, that they should be praying to God. And this was the thing that drew them. And over time, like a fishing tail, starts off like a little fish. By the time we got it, it's a big giant snapper, flipping around with all kinds of tricks. It's true. Jesus did perform all those miracles, there's no doubt. But you've got to remember, there was a life in between those miracles. It's the way you carry on. It's like you jump from one miracle to the next miracle, oh, the Messiah. No. He wasn't classed as a Messiah until they strung him up, until he resurrected himself. And the first people to call him a Messiah then was his apostles. And then he asked them a question. He said to St. Peter, whose name was Simon, he said, where's Judas? And that was the end of that. Jesus went up to heaven, and they disbanded. Yes, well, there you go. But I've told the story of Judas. He didn't hang himself. You can't hang yourself by tying your hands behind your back. And there's no way when they found him that there was silver on the ground in a country where people are very poor. They tell you that. But what happened? That's why Jesus ascended. That's why Simon, who became St. Peter, didn't feel himself worthy of God. But after what they did to Judas, so that's the true story. Judas is always being ousted as an idiot, but he was essential to the process for Jesus. I keep telling this. If Judas did not oust Jesus, then Jesus would have had to out himself, and that would have been considered suicide. So it wouldn't have been a sacrifice, and it would have been a sin, and none of us would go to heaven, and he would have failed. Judas was essential to the process. But Jesus could not ascend to heaven sin-free. Do you understand this? Because if you commit suicide, that's instantly you go to purgatory. My older brother, that's what he is. He's not in heaven or in hell. He's in purgatory, in a pillar of light by God's grace. But if you step out of this pillar of light by God's grace, you can be subject to go to hell if the devil catches you in purgatory. He has people that chase you through there, So you've got to be big. And yes, it is like, that's one thing that Hollywood sort of got right. It's like a dark city, like a maze. Terrible place. Very scary. I've been there once, really. A few times in my dreams. I don't like dreaming of that place. It's very scary. Very hard to get out. It's a maze. But that's purgatory for you. And the bad guys are running around in there, and they'll catch you, take you to hell. If you step out of that pillar of God's grace, that's the last grace you have. You could be in there until the resurrection. So, suicide is out. If you go suicide, you do not go to heaven. You do not go to hell. You sit in between. That's just the way it goes until the resurrection. Scary. There's rules to this game. We have the opportunity to be what we want to be here on earth. This is what God has given us. But we also have to atone for what we've done in this life when we go to the next one. We have to do that at the gates. We'll be asked questions, whether it's St. Peter or one of the other angels standing in for it. We still have to ask the questions. So there have to be the right answers. And you may have to repent on some of the things that you did on earth, some of the things that you might believe, that you might love, that might hold you true. You might have to repent them to get into heaven. And that's just the way it is. I, as a man, can change my view. That's easy. That's real easy. I can change my point of view. I can change the way I have been programmed, and I can change my laws. But God cannot change his laws. I cannot change his laws if people want me to change them. Because they want change. They can't change God's law. They can't change the way he thinks. It's because humanity wants it. It's because humanity is changing itself. God does not change. He has one way. That is it. And if you don't follow this way, that is it. He has given us the opportunity to be what we are on earth. We are accepting and understanding of each other. This is good. But you're going to have to learn when you die, and you go to the next life, if you really want to, you're going to have to repent on some of the things you've done here. Even I might have to. It doesn't matter. Everyone gets asked questions, whether you're being good or not. And the questions you get asked, you're not going to like. So you're going to have to be ready to answer them. I cannot do anything about that. Neither can you. Neither can anybody. That's God. And you cannot change God just because you want to change the narrative. God does not change, does not work that way. Just because the church changed their mind, then God is angry at them. I can't help that. I'm trying to teach people the truth. I'm not trying to be angry. I'm not trying to be aggressive. I'm not trying to be prejudiced against anybody, or trying to say what you're doing is wrong. Everyone has a choice. We are being given this by God. That is the greatest thing. That is why all the other creatures and all the angels, even half myself, hate humans. They hate them. Because they're more loved than anyone else. Some of us have to protect you for no reason, and look at how you are to each other. Do you think that you should be saved? No, you should be. That's why he sends me. See, we like to change things as humans. We like to control things. But you cannot control God. Otherwise, you are trying to build a tower of Babel, like in history. And we have to learn from our mistakes in history. Now, if they're saying Jesus was a real man in Wikipedia, and he had sons, well, you tell me that the Tower of Babel isn't real, because it is. You find that in Wikipedia too. Somewhere out near Iraq, somewhere around there. So, are we going to do this? Going to go back to that again? Because God will just go smash. We'll topple down, and we'll go back to talking shit again. Babel. That's what happened last time. You want to repeat history? Because God, he don't mess around next time. He just go whack and bang, and that's it. So snap out of it, human race. Just because you want to change, just because the laws around you are changing, just because you might be a certain way, God is not going to change. God will never change. He will never remove the storm. He will guide you through it. That is it. I keep telling you people, God is like the general up top, the main one. We cannot take his stars away from him. No general likes their stars taken away, and God is like that, if anything. And we must put the prayers up, because we are beneath him. And when you are that high, you do not put prayers down, like removing storms. Prayers must go up. God is the general, and that is best as God is. If you understand God any other way, you are wrong. God is a general. He has rules. If you do not follow these rules, it's whoosh, gone. This is the God. He has put these rules into place to make sure life continues, regardless of what the humans do. You have to repent in the afterlife. This is the way. So you can be what you want to be on earth, as long as you're not evil, because he will not ask you questions then. You will be gone. The people like the Jay-Z's and the Diddy's, the ones that like to really hurt and domain and have blood rituals and all that, sorry, you won't be asked questions. You'll be told where you're going the first time you show your face. The rest of humanity, especially the ones with your sexuality, well, everyone's going to go up to heaven. You'll be asked questions. You'll be asked questions why you were that way, why you had to choose, why you thought that this way you needed to be. Because this was our plan. This is the God's plan. And you have to answer correctly. And there's no right or wrong answer. You just have to be honest. You have to answer correctly. And you cannot say if someone forced you. It has to be your own admission. You have to admit what you did. And no matter what you was, you will be let into heaven. You understand this? This is not going against anyone that is not just the normal way of sex, to create babies. No. If you listen to what I'm saying, everyone can get in. Everyone but the perverted. The ones that decide to do evil in the way they do. They won't be asked questions. Everyone will be asked questions. Everyone is asked the question. We all see this. None of us are free from sin. Even if we know someone has been good all their life and have sworn and they have stolen a lolly or a cigarette from their mom's packet one day, you never know. Even those that have been really good, they'll still be asked questions. Why was you so really good? You always get asked questions before you go into heaven. They will not just let anyone in, regardless of how good you are. So you can be whatever you want to be on earth. This is the power that God has given us. This is the love that He has given us. But He's also given us the sort of hope in Him that we'll make the right decisions. So we won't have to be asked too many questions and we quickly slip into heaven. See, what you do here on earth is how many questions you're going to get asked. So you better be ready with the answers, and they better be good. Because if they're not, the chance you might still go to hell. It's pretty complicated. You'll find it's not as hard as what I'm trying to say, but you understand when you get up there. I can't really say it unless I kill everyone and take you up there now. And I can't do that. That's a bit rude. I'll have to ask permission. No, I wouldn't do such a thing. Thou shalt not kill. Now, as an angel, I wouldn't be bound to that. As an angel, well, that's why I suppose it's a bit hard for me. But as a man, I am bound to that. And I like that rule, really. I don't really want to kill people, but I can. Like everyone. Everyone has a potential, especially when it comes to saving one's life. You know? But you have to do a mission for God, and you've got to do a mission for God, and that's what you've got to do, mission for God. Now, what I'm going to do is golden, because I feel that this God is driving me to apologize for some of the things I've said to her. This will go a long way with Nick and help her appease her feelings towards me, because I actually like Nick. There's nothing wrong with her. She's a good person. And, well, after the way the Black Vulture decided to sink her beak into her, I decided, well, maybe Gordon's not as bad as I thought. Maybe that Black Vulture was the one that put wood on my fire and wood on her fire, and then put water on and tried to douse them out at the same time. Bit of an instigator, that one. I mean, I was on her live for 10 minutes. Because I didn't want to banter on about how this was said about Uncle Mike. She didn't want me to come back on, or didn't let me come back up, so well, and it wasn't long after that, but pretty much the next morning. 2 mornings after, and that's it. It's gone crazy. I apologize for that. Yes. Once it goes past a certain noise, it goes to that silliness. Makes me really angry. I'm going to have to learn to navigate around it. Well, that's pretty much all the content I've had. I've been on for 48 minutes, talked about Jesus, found out that he's got brothers. And just to remind you, his brothers' names was James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon. So Jesus had 4 brothers. I'm going to do a bit of research, because I was always told that he had 2 sisters. So I have to check that out. So I don't know why they haven't got them in there, but I have heard such a thing, that Jesus had 2 sisters as well. Because there were 7 of them, 7 kids. That's Jesus included. He was very busy with his wife then, wasn't he? But there you go. That shows you love. Now that's another story. We'll do a little bit of that. See, with Mary, they don't tell you that Mary was half Jewish. Okay? That's why she was by herself and didn't have anyone, didn't have any family. She was a slave. She was half Nubian from Africa. She was half Jewish. So Jesus was half black. That's a fact. That's why she was out the way she was. She was a slave. And when, because she was being a slave woman and got pregnant, they thought naturally She was doing that to get food. And then one of the stoner because out of wedlock in that little town, you'd get killed for it. And Joseph, he liked her, he knew her story, he knew she had a bad plight, and he decided to stick up for her. And that's when this man stood up for this black woman, half black woman, Mary. They don't tell you that part of the story, do they? Tell me, where's Mary's parents? Where does she come from? Do you know? I just told you. That's the truth. They neglect that part of the story. There's paintings over in Russia that are the oldest paintings of Jesus and that in the world. And it depicts the mother and the son as being black. That's a fact. You can look it up if you want. It's on Google. Everything I say, you can actually do the research for yourself. I just like people to go out because I find you do the research yourself, it sinks in because it means you've done the work. And that means I've got God to work through you to do that, to find out that to give you information. And it makes you proud because you feel like you've discovered something. Oh my God, I discovered the ark. You know, like with these kids. I knew he had brothers and sisters, but I didn't know their names to now. But I know he's got two sisters, so I wonder why they're not in the record. But the research has to be done. I might think we should do that. I actually thought might see whether I can follow Jesus' line. Is whether we can track him down. Because if there's going to be another coming, it'll of course be through one of those lines. Would it not? Possibly. Possibly. You got all the movies that do that type of shit. But you never know. You never know. I don't see why they would go through putting another family line to the trouble that the Mary and the Joseph line have gone through with Jesus. I think one line is enough, and there's enough lines there. There are descendancies. Who knows? There could be thousands of them. I still reckon it's got something to do in Venice with the family of the Vinci or the ones that hold this information. Got something very strange there. Every time you go to hunt something there, they're very strange people. So, well, getting tired, nearly an hour. Still one person here. That's good. I know I don't talk too much about what people want to hear, but that's just the way it is. Why should I? There's enough of that. We see enough of that. There's enough people doing that. I rather talk about good things, things that we don't know. So, how do I go about this with Gordon? I think I might have to go into her chat like I did before and actually go up and just apologize. Speak my peace of mind, and then go quietly, like a gentleman. And I think that should be enough, whether she accepts it or not, whether they want to laugh or not, I don't care, because then I feel good inside myself, and I've done what God wanted me to do. Apologize. I mean, I did say some pretty heinous things to her, but that's what happens when you go into my videos, go through them, and look and just find the child one and make a comment there. So there's a bit of both. That's, I guess, she apologizes to me and I apologize to her, then it's done. Then my objective is to get her and Michael to apologize to each other, and then that's done. They don't have to talk to each other, don't have to explain why they did it. Just a quick, I'm sorry that we had to go through that, I'm sorry we had to go through that. Who knows, they might start talking about the black water. How she got them like that. She likes chucking wood on that fire, that one. That's all I've got to say. And yes, she keeps saying, oh, I'm not going to do a Jaguar, not going to do a Jaguar. But Jaguar's right, she's still running stuff on her at least once to 3 times a day. Ridiculous. But we see as it gets closer to this case before Jaguar, we'll see how we go. I don't think she'll be doing too much. I don't know it's my phone, but the volume is going low. It's probably the way I got it's probably the way I've got this rigged up. I start talking low when I start getting tired, and I speak too loud, it's gonna do that. So I will eventually figure it all out. So you could come in, Joshua. Yes, my nephew Joshua, trying to get in. But I'll be finishing in 5 minutes anyways. That'll be an hour, and that'll be good enough. Well, I will say my favorite. I'm going to say this. I'll say my favorite quote for the week, every live. My favorite one is that one of the strong woman. I like that one. A strong woman knows she has the strength enough for the journey. But a woman of strength who know that the journey will make her even stronger. So there you go. That's similar to like asking God, God, give me the strength to be a strong woman so I can get through this storm. And you know, these women, if you're very smart and very strong, that if you get through that storm, you're going to be even stronger. You know, use no use. If I get through this, I'm going to be so strong. I'm going to just take out everybody. Boop, boop, boop. And that's good that these girls are like that. Us boys is a little bit different. We've got to beat a couple of guys before we feel like we're on the top. And then we've got to look around because there's always another faster gun coming along trying to take you out. That's the one thing about being Archangel Michael, being half white and half black as well. I've got to fight everybody. That's crazy. But it's true. I got everyone to fight. Trying to establish who I am. Hello, Sagarville. Yes, yes. I will be here only few more minutes. Getting tired. I was only going to be on for an hour, so I'll only be on for the hour. I don't have much content. But if you missed out, like I said, we found out that Jesus has 4 brothers. And the names are James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon. That is good. And he debated with his fellow Jews and fellow people about the best way to follow God. Not just demanded that they follow it this way. It was a bit more civilized than what they saw in the movies. Because in the movies it's like, I'm demanding that you do this, and this is the way, like Moses. Moses had to do that to his people. I can understand that, to get their off the bum so they can get out. And that's what it was with Moses. He had to get that people motivated. Not so much that they were under the yoke and they wanted to escape. Because the thing is, they were well paid. They weren't exactly slaves. They were second-class citizens. They were slaves. They were well-paid slaves. They had houses. They had properties. They used to get a lot of sanctions if they didn't do what they told. That's just the way it was. But they were not. They went when they went out to the desert. They took slaves and that with them. Gold, riches, Alcan slaves, all this. Where did they get this from? Did they steal it? No, the Jews were never fully slaves. They were well paid. Okay? Well, not exactly well paid, but they were paid. And some took privilege of the other ones, the smarter ones. And that's the way it is. And they didn't really want to leave. Why should we leave? Go out there, wander the desert. We've got this great Egyptian army that will look after us as long as we keep building their temples. So not only did Moses have to fight with the Egyptians to get released, he had to fight with his own people. So So he had to come out like that. You must do. See, to motivate them to get them out. Wasn't so much the yoke. There was like on Centrelink payments. Taking it easy, really. A wandering race that sat in the country and was homaged by that country. Yet that country treated them like second-class citizens, but they still got paid. So that when you see him in the mic, that was with the whip. Yes, might have had some slaves to do some of the real heavy work, but the majority of the Jewish people were not whipped like that. And make it sound out to be rough. But you've got to look at the realization of the situation, the bigger picture. You've got to look at the picture. Otherwise, if you're watching that picture, where you see the Ten Commandments, why are they all in houses if they're slaves? Wouldn't they be in chains and locked up in pens at night? Or in camps outside the city? No, they were not slaves. Not in the sense that you think. Well, we've been on the hour, and that's what I wanted to do. I know not too many people watch me unless I talk about Jaguar. Wait until I start doing that. But that's going to be after the case. And that's how that's planned. And I'm not telling you why it's planned that way or why I'm going that way. That's just the way it's going to be. The mass will still stay on, of course, until YouTube learns to change its laws. Until I find a better way around the algorithm. At the moment, this is working. Not as quite as good as I want. Well, he's arguing with his wife. They give some, well, his partner, they have 2 children. Like most young men and young sons, they have troubles. So he's getting a bit rough and a bit hot. Plays a bit of yo-yo with him, but I told him he's got to brighten up too. So it's a bit of both of them with that relationship. But you get that. When he gets his job and he gets himself all organized together, get his house, to move in there, get back there with him instead of being at the mother's. And he'll be right with his 2 kids again. It's quite fine when they're like that. It's only when they're separated like this here that they have this trouble. I think it's because the mother in the ear of her over there. That's just the way it is. I just tried to tell him, stand back. Wait. But being young, they want to go like a boom. At the gate of time, always in trouble. But he's learning. He's learning. Well, I'm glad we haven't had, but much love to Dragon Odell, yes. I'm glad we haven't had any of these guys in the truck. But I do get them. This is the most terrible thing. Shows. They might not come and openly attack me, but they go into my channel and they take down all my likes. That's very petty. I don't get many likes as it is. I like it when I get likes. I get upset when they get taken away. I also get upset if I lose just 1 subscriber. It's hard enough to get one. And when you lose one, it's like, oh, gee, what did I do wrong? I was trying my best. But you get that. A lot of people watch me because I'm regular rights moderator. Well, not a lot, but a few. And I went into to check just the sum of the people. I can't do it all. I don't know how to do that. Sometimes I can check and see a few people that join up new. I was quite surprised. One of the people that follows me is the BBC from England, the news company. And they've got like 15 million followers. So I've got people that follow me that got millions of followers. So obviously they've got me on the ear in case I have something, your information. Maybe one day I will. But like I said, I have the best receipt. The best receipt on Jaguar. Oh, Mr. Myron. Hello. This is the best one. And if they can work out what this dice and the lollybag is, they'll know all the receipts of Jaguar. There's Not a fixed dice, this is a proper dice. Doesn't matter about the color, it's just a dice. But then again, who knows? When people could work out that code, they'll have the ultimate receipt. I reckon it's a pretty ingenious code. One day I will tell you what it is. You'll be quite funny. You'll be quite surprised. You'll think you are, oh, really? And even Jack will say, oh, gee, he got all the receipts on me, that man. Oh, he had it all the time. But that's just the code. It's all about codes, all about algorithms. Like this with the algorithm, like that. The message is heard. That's all it is, the matter. Yes. You keep building your channel, they will come. That is correct. If I keep trying, I am no failure. We discussed that before. I might do a revising of everything that I say during the week, do one big live, and then do a revising. But I still got to try and work out the best way that I can talk to this Gordon, because I don't know. But I just want to go over there and just say that I know she's not too interested in building the algorithm, building her channel, or making something of this. But I just thought we could have used this to have a bit of a dig at the trolls. You know, because then they hear that and they say, oh, gee, what's going on there? We'll have to check that out. And we might get more views. That's all I was worried about. I wasn't really worried about anything else. I was just trying to make something out of it because they made something out of it. Why can't we? And it's going to be a good thing. It's not going to be troll activity. It's going to be an apology and it's going to be good. Might have a discussion about a few things. I mean, the woman, she was talking about that CERN reactor. And that's the reason why I got into the chat, because I was actually interested in that, into the science and the physics of the thing. And they were talking about, all the girls were saying how they didn't like the math, didn't like math, and it was a bit, and I was trying to explain a little bit. I don't really like maths and that either, but I know it. If you know how to add up and take away, you can pretty much do anything. Because you got the kilos, and you got the money. That's it. Centimeters, meters, take away, add. If you know how to do that, basic, you don't need really any of the other maths. Unless you really want to get into it. Too much knowledge makes you lonely. That's one thing with knowledge. Well, I'm just about ready. My daughter's walking around. What are you doing? Sophia. Ah, chip bucket. Did you ask for that chip bucket? You want me to say, no, she's got a chip bucket. Kids, I love her. She's a good kid. She's been through a bit of trouble. That one finds kids that are bigger than her. She's having trouble. She's only in year 7, but they start in high school year 7 right here. That's 12 years of age. And the year 12s, the older students are picking on her, calling her Dora the Explorer, because she got a haircut like Dora the Explorer. But I told her what to do with them. She fixed them right away. And not violent everyway, just very good at using her mouth, that little girl. Too good, I think. That is unlike she's 27. She's a good kid. And her brother, he's a good boy. Very quiet, of course, after his mother died. He did a lot of things. Did a lot of things that little children, little boys shouldn't. But he was right there. He wanted to be there to help his mother. I mean, not the real, bad things. I dealt with that. But the things where none of the family, other than myself and my son, when she had a seizure, could stop her having a seizure. And he was that good that he could see her going to go into a seizure before she had one. That's because of the cancer in the brain. Very terrible. There was someone to try and eat soup, and they just can't get that spoon to the mouth, and they start going into that. It's terrible. She used to go into one where this was go very stiff, start biting down very hard. We had to hold her until she broke. So she was stiff, and then she'd go relax. When she was relaxed like that, she would come to again. she wouldn't even remember what happened to her. And she didn't believe us at first. It was very scary, very hard. And her son, he's a legend of all time, my little boy. He stood with us all the way. He was a good boy. He loved his mom. I loved her too. That she's gone now, and I have to struggle on with the two kids, me and the two kids. But that's the way it is. That's the way we have to go. We have to keep going forward. Of course, I'm looking for another lady, but not really. I had one in mind. Good talking to one. Nothing really much happening there. But I'm not really interested. No, maybe a friend. Maybe I know a bit of a harm, but relationship, I don't know. I'm a bit scared of that. Went through that relationship all that time, and then, poof, I felt like I was wasting my time in the end. But I know it wasn't. It seems, yes, a bit of a loss. But we get that. We get that. I survive. Cancer is a terrible thing. And no, it wasn't the devil that put the cancer in her. And it wasn't God. Just one of the things, the elements out there has to happen. Has to happen. And unfortunately, she had to get the cancer, and it was a time. Didn't really want it to be. Didn't really like it at all. I've had to accept it over time now. At the time, didn't really like it. Didn't want her to go. Miss her a lot. I know the kids miss her a lot. So I've got to keep it together, even with this mission you got. Kelly always knew about this mission you got. That's the thing. She knew everything. If she was alive, she would sit here and she would tell you some of the things I've shown her. And she would have you thinking, oh gee, this really is the guy, because no, she was good. She got frightened a few times. I never took her out to the real frightening stuff. She knew who she was sleeping with. Yes, she's a very happy lady. She made me very happy. That's why I'm probably so bitter, why I'm so angry. Because I never used to be with her, but well, the way it is, trying to do this great task by yourself without the hug. Pretty hard, but you get that. You get that. I know I'll see her in the end. When I complete my mission, when I complete this life, when I raise the children right, then I'll be ready. And hopefully, I would have done all the good things by God, and I can see her again. A place for your family too, guys. No, used to. Very great. Thank you for coming. It makes me, well, it makes it all worthwhile. Just to reach a couple of people. Don't feel like I'm by myself all the time, which is the main thing. No, I've got people around me, but I'm still lonely. But you get that. You get that. Well, the candles burned down. I don't really want to light up another one. I've only got one left. I'll get back to Friday. I'll get some more. So, thank you for coming in. I will have more from Jesus. I'll try and check down to see where his sisters are, because I know he's got two. I will have a lot more content on Jaguar, hopefully. We are with you. Thank you. Yes, that's good. But I know people will jump in and watch this later. I find people tend to watch it later. Must be the hours that I'm on. No, it depends. So, I'm going to go now. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless you, Kiki Eyes. God bless you, Saga Reveal. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being my best supporters, actually. I know it's used to the two likes. So thank you very much. All right, ladies, I will see you next time. I will probably be on live tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'll advertise, of course, and we'll see how we go. And slowly, if YouTube changes, this mask will come off. The voice might change. But then again, I think you might like it. Okay, ladies, people, thank you very much for coming to watch. And we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye. Whoop, whoop. Get to, see you later.